there are three types of fades that you can use in Pro Tools: a fade in, a fade out, and a crossfade. So a fade in is a gradual ramping up in volume from the beginning of your clip to where your fade ends. And a fade out obviously is the same thing but in reverse. So from a certain point to the end of our clip, a fade in volume or a reduction in volume occurs. Crossfades are essentially the process of overlapping two audio sources and fading out the first source while simultaneously fading in the second source. So those are our three types of fades. To create a fade, we select the area that we want to be faded. So say maybe we want this first bar from here to here. We want that part to fade in. And then we go up to the Edit menu and select Fade and hit Create. Also, there's a shortcut associated with it, Command F. We can select the type of fade we want to choose. For right now, let's just assume that this fade is sufficient. We click OK, and you can see that we have created a fade over that area that we had selected. You can hear it gradually increases in volume. And here is that same audio without the fade. And with the fade, Command F, OK. We can also create a fade out using the exact same procedure. Select the area that we want to fade out, use the shortcut Command F, or go up to the Edit window, Fades, and Create. It opens the Fade dialog box. Click OK, and it adds a fade to our audio. To create a crossfade, you use the exact same procedure. With your selector tool, you select the area over which you want the crossfade to occur. Obviously, there has to be an edit point there as well to crossfade. Then you use the shortcut Command F to open up your Fades dialog box and click OK. Now we've created a crossfade between these two pieces of audio. And here it gradually fades from one source to the other. You can also audition the particular crossfade, or any fade for that matter, by clicking on this audition button right up here. One of the things that you may run across is an error message that you might get if your two audio clips don't have any additional material to crossfade. If I look at this audio clip right here, you can see that that's where it actually begins. So there's no audio material in front of here in the parent audio file. Same with this audio clip. I can try to drag it using the trim tool all the way to the right, but that's as far as it goes. So if I butt these two up against each other like this, and then choose to make a crossfade, click OK, I'll get this error message that says, one or more fade requests are invalid due to insufficient audio data within the fade bounds. In other words, there's no audio data underneath to create a fade with. So in order to solve that problem, then you actually have to have some audio data that you can actually fade. So now I've created some data underneath that we can use to crossfade. So now when I click that button, you can actually hear that it's crossfading from the guitar to the bass sound. So there always has to be sufficient audio data on either side of your crossfade for a crossfade to work properly. One last thing I wanted to talk about in relationship to fades is the fade dialog box. When you open that up, you can choose from a variety of different fade types, as well as if you choose the standard fades, you can click on these and drag them. So the fade dialog box gives us a variety of options when we are choosing fades for our audio. Like many software-based applications, Pro Tools provides a way for you to undo some of the work that you've done. In Pro Tools, we have 32 different levels of editing that we can undo. However, there are some actions that you can do in Pro Tools that cannot be undone. Some of these are deleting tracks, closing a session or quitting Pro Tools, clearing audio from the clips list, or any kind of destructive recording. So those can't be undone. You can also set how many levels of undo you want to have available by going to the Preferences and clicking on the Editing tab. And here you can see I have selected 32 levels of undo. The maximum is 32, so I've got the maximum amount right now selected. And that's generally speaking what I prefer to have. If for some reason you're running short on resources, you could reduce this amount, and that may give you some additional resources. I don't have that problem on my machine, so I'm not going to worry about that. The undo command is Command Z, like it is in many applications. So we decide we're going to do a bunch of editing like this, and then we want to undo that editing. We can by using the shortcut Command Z. So each time I hit Command Z, it's going to undo the prior edit. You can also redo edits by using Shift Command and Z. So that will redo all of the edits that we just undid. And those options are also available here under the Edit drop-down menu. Undo clear, and then you can see there's redo clear as well. Shift Command Z and Command Z. Pro Tools also has a window dedicated to the undo history, and it's found under the Window drop-down menu called Undo History. Here you can see all of your different layers of undo that have been recorded. So if you wanted to go back to a certain particular edit point, you can do that by just clicking on one of these edit points. So you can jump one or two at a time, or you could jump all the way back. So it gives you a way to quickly access certain levels of undo based on your undo history. The undo history window also has a menu selector. When you click on that, you have a variety of options. You can show the creation times, what time were these edits created. You can also choose to undo all of these, or redo all of them, or to completely clear the undo queue. Pro Tools also has a feature called Revert to Saved. It's under the File menu. Revert to Saved, which takes Pro Tools back to your last saved version. So let's say you've made 40 or 50 edits in your undo history, but you only have the capability of saving the last 32 particular edits that you've made because of the limitations of Pro Tools. So in that case, you might choose to go back or revert to save, and what it will do is it will take you back to the last saved version. So this is one way to get back to an earlier version of your session that might be earlier than what you have in your undo history. If necessary, you can also restore your session from a session backup. Let's look at that real quick. Here's the session that I just minimized. If you look at all of the folders and files inside of Pro Tools, remember Pro Tools has a nested file architecture, you can see that there is a file called Session File Backups. If you look inside that, you can see that a variety of automatic session file backups have been made at various times. You can control how often those are created in your preferences. So here under Auto Backup, you can see Enable Session File Auto Backup, keep 10 most recent session backups, and it backs up every 5 minutes automatically. So this is a great way if you need to go back before your 64 levels of undo. This is a way that you could do that, is going back to one of the automatically created session file backups. If you need to do that, you can do it fairly easily inside of Pro Tools by just going to Open Session and then choosing one of these session file backups to open. Clicking on it and choosing Open.